Okay, babies, 25 words or less. Pitch me my next masterpiece. Go!
My script is original, literate, and witty. It's subtle.
You think you're the only one who can give me that Barton Fink feeling? Get out of here! Okay, hot stuff. Impress me.
This is serious and sensitive and close to my heart. It's the story of two people, and they meet in a coffee shop, but not really. You see, it's a dream that they're both dreaming, and because they met when they were children.
Yeah, listen, baby. Why not come back later and we can get to know each other a little better? Jeepers creepers, where's all the geniuses with my big hit?
Hey man, yeah, I don't know too much about movies, but I just watched this one on Turner Classics last night, and it's kind of boring and old. I think people might like a new one.
Not a week seems to go by where moviegoers aren't flipped a remake of a classic movie or a big screen translation of a TV show, a video game, or a once popular toy. This time out, we're focusing on Hollywood's burning hot fever for remakes. They clearly feel we can't live without them. One of the most recent remake announcements, and there will probably be one or two on the pipeline by the time we finish up here, is the deal just struck to reimagine The Blob. You know The Blob. It's the 1958 sci-fi shocker in which a dubiously teenage Steve McQueen battles a monstrous, gelatinous critter from outer space that leaps and creeps and glides and slides across the Philly suburbs. Now Rob Zombie, the man behind the recent Halloween remake, and the sequel will tackle the Blob Redux, and he's planning to change the monster from the famously oozing substance that was all red to something completely different. What exactly?
Well, it's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
What does he think a blob is anyway? There's already been a remake in the 1980s, and it was okay, but it's already forgotten. Is Zombie onto something by creating a fresher, more dastardly protoplasm for today's CGI-addicted audiences? Will Zombie's Blob terrorize trailer parks in the form of giant disembodied heads that look like Sid Haig? Given the controversial, largely negative response to Zombie's Halloween retreads, may I suggest leaving the classics aside to try something original? I don't know, maybe a movie about The Walking Dead? You know, a zombie movie?
Well, you gotta do something.
Word has spread that a remake of Outland is in the works. Those who remember the original 1981 Space Odor with Sean Connery will recall that it was actually a sturdy, if unspectacular, remake of High Noon, reworked in the harsh frontiers of outer space. What could possibly be behind the impulse to remake this film? I could see a new Outland working, perhaps improving on the original, but we'll have to hope they get the cast right, nabbing actors who can add some snap and crackle to the pop, the post-Bond pre-Oscar Connery, villainous Peter Boyle, and charmingly cantankerous Francis Sternhagen brought to the dance. Speaking of dancing, it's pretty big these days. How else do you explain Tom Bergeron's career? So it should come as no surprise that Dirty Dancing is getting made over. Again. Yes, again. Remember Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights? I didn't think so. Of course, the 1987 original was a modestly budgeted independent film boasting a pre-Roadhouse Patrick Swayze as the carpet-cutting instructor of a Catskills resort, and a pre-nose-job Jennifer Grey as a shy vacationer nicknamed Baby. Remember, nobody puts Baby in the corner. Well, the movie was a surprise hit, but what helped make it a success? The period flavor of the 1960s setting, the gorgeous New York locations, exterior especially, were charming assets. And then there was the cast. Who knew the macho Mr. Swayze was such a talented dancer, or that he'd kindle a sexy spark with Joel Grey's little girl? Will they shift the remake to modern-day Miami Beach? Who's going to be the new Johnny Castle? And who's the new starlet that'll refuse to be put in the corner? I'm smelling a cougar alert here. Why not ask a sexy, hotter woman, say Demi Moore, to play the dancing instructor? And a younger, insecure boy toy to play opposite of her, say Ashton Kutcher? Well, that they might have the time of their lives, but will you? I'm guessing younger audiences might flock to any hot romance that gets them out of the house, but fans of the original will probably get more out of cuddling up and giving their well-worn DVDs another spin. Fantasy continues to be a hot ticket at the movies, as evidenced by the successes of the Harry Potter and the Chronicles of Narnia franchises, as well as other effects-heavy films. So, should we be shocked that Excalibur is about to be pulled from the stone once again? You may recall the 1981 original, a masterfully handed retelling of the King Arthur, Merlin the Magician, Guinevere story from director John Boorman. To me, it worked as a fantasy tale for those who aren't particularly fond of fantasy tales. In the proposed reshoot, Bryan Singer of The Usual Suspects and X-Men fame will be sitting in the director's chair, so we can expect some impressive special effects. But will the new Excalibur be better than its predecessor? That remains to be seen. Boorman's Excalibur had terrific performances by young actors such as Liam Neeson, Patrick Stewart, and Gabriel Byrne, plus a memorable Merlin as portrayed by Nicole Williamson. Are there up-and-coming stars of that caliber ready to be discovered? Also on the docket is Yellow Submarine, courtesy of Robert Zemeckis, who will employ the motion capture process he's been modifying from the Polar Express to Beowulf and A New Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. I found the 1968 original trippy and visually striking and wonderful thanks largely to the great Beatles music. But the film is such a product of its time with its Peter Max-inspired artwork, its sometimes incomprehensible plot, and nasty, music-hating blue meanies, that the 3D will certainly add an extra dimension to all the psychedelia of the original, and with a little help from his friends, the man behind Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Back to the Future series may be able to pull this remake off. Can I offer one note of warning, Bob? If you have the option, use the real Beatles music. If you fall prey to the temptation of employing new artists to rework the Fab Four's classics, you have only yourself to blame. Just remember this woeful title, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.